Hello and welcome to another edition of Morning Hoops Basketball Podcast. I am Anthony Denu. You can find me on Twitter at Anthony Denu. He is Kyle McKeown. You can find him on Twitter at RotoKyleNBA. Kyle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Anthony. Thank you for hosting the show, brother.
Yeah, that's right. No problem. Exciting stuff. We're going to do something different, something experimental. We're going to kind of watch the games as things happen. We're going around the arc, as we're calling it, and checking out all the games going on League Pass. You got the Bucks playing on ESPN tonight. So there's a lot going on, and we're going to follow along. We hope you follow along with us. It's an interactive live stream. You guys can get your comments onto the show. Let us know what you think about a player. Maybe you have a fantasy question. Maybe you're watching the action along with us. So we're going to try and cover as much as possible. Right now, I've got on the Rockets playing in Cleveland. Rockets only up by 2 early in the third quarter. Kyle, what do you have going on on your screens?
I've got Atlanta at Chicago. Atlanta is up 4 over the Bulls right now, 15-11, 6 minutes left in the first quarter. So still early in that game. We were waiting for some of the first games that started off to get back from halftime. Anthony, why don't you run us through all the games so far and kind of let us know where the scores are at, if that's something you can do.
Yeah, so we've got Lakers playing in Orlando. They are up by 10, 51-41. There's it's just started early in the second half here. Clippers and Raptors are about to go to halftime. Clippers up 64-46. Just under 10 seconds left to go in the second quarter, so real close to halftime there. As I said, we got Rockets and Cavs. That's what I'm checking out in Cleveland, and Rockets up by 3 now, 69-66. Celtics Pacers is another game early in the third quarter, 63-60. Pacers up at home in that one. You also got the Hornets and the Nets, and still about 5 minutes to go in the first half. You got 54-37, the Nets up at home. And then recently tipping off, we have T-Wolves and Jazz. Jazz up 12-7 early. And we got Hawks and Bulls. The Hawks up 21-16. This could be a Jabari Parker revenge game. Everyone's big on the revenge game is very vogue right now in the NBA. And then later tonight we got Grizzlies Suns, Pelicans Bucks. Sadly no Giannis, but if you listen to the show, you know I'm a huge DJ Wilson fan. I believe he's getting the start in place of Giannis. Is that confirmed, Kyle?
I hadn't seen. No, that's not. No, it's Ersan Ilyasova. I don't know where you get your sources from. Was that just like your hope? You're sending it out into the universe, trying to speak it into existence?
Yes. And then one of my favorite follows on Twitter, of course, is some guy on Twitter. You got to check him out.
Okay. Eric Name, the Bucks reporter for The Athletic, said that Ersan Ilyasova is starting for Giannis. So
there you go.
I would plan on
reputable source, Eric Name. Also tonight you got Thunder and Kings in Sacramento. Knicks and Warriors rounding out the night in California.
Yep, there we go. And to start off the night so far, as we check in with, as you heard from Anthony, a lot of games are in the third quarter already. You got Kemba Walker leading the way with 27 points so far. James Harden with 24 points early in the third. 19 for Russell Westbrook. Kevin Love's having a good game finally. 15 points with 8 minutes left in the third of that game. That's pretty much it. Those kind of the big things. No big block performances so far from anyone or anything else too gaudy. Cedi Osman is showing off with 7 assists with 8 minutes left in the third. So it's kind of neat to see a high assist number from Cedi that early in the game, but he hasn't scored. So also not too much to get excited about with the great and terrible Osman. He's being great at something and terrible at something else. That's all I got for you, bro.
No, his biggest problem. Sorry, I'm interacting with some of our fans here. The biggest problem is he doesn't go by Jedi, which I think for this month at least would be really great.
Well, I mean, it's not pronounced Jedi, but he will tweet out things like the hashtag, like the first Jedi.
That's pretty good. All right, good stuff.
But I'm sure he pronounces it the first Jedi or Chetty or whatever.
Right.
But a big slate with 11 games, so there's tons to talk about. Obviously, we're gonna probably focus in on the games that we're watching ourselves. I've got Atlanta and Chicago up 24-21 with a little less than 4 minutes left in the first quarter there. I've also got the Jazz and Timberwolves going. The Jazz are up by 3 points with 4 minutes left in the first quarter of that game. I'll switch over to some of the games that are deeper into their action as we get closer to the end and we see who's going to be kind of competing for a photo finish.
All right, we have a question from MSRF 5188. Thoughts on this? Giving Kyrie, getting Bledsoe, or Rubio and House? Struggling in ninth place because of injuries, he says. He or she.
It's tough just because if you're struggling for injuries, there does become a point where you have to say, what can I get back? I do think that's selling too low on Kyrie, though. Kyrie's amping up in practice right now. He hasn't been cleared for contact yet, but everything that we've heard so far says that Kyrie's coming back from this injury at some point this season. The Nets are playing great without him, so they're remaining within playoff contention. So you're not too worried about the Nets falling out of playoff contention and then Kyrie sitting there and ending up getting shut down or something. I don't think that's even possible right now. Of course, it's an ambiguous shoulder injury, and it could be a bigger deal than what we know. But for the time being, I think we have to operate on what we do know, and that's unfortunately very little. But it also says that we should expect Kyrie back at some point sooner than later, I believe. So that just seems like selling too low on him. I'd want to get back something more. Maybe there's other guys that you can buy lower on. Like right now, Rubio's value is kind of up because he's been just throwing out tons of assists of late.
MSRF responded, I agree, but this is the best I've gotten trying in all week. And but he says, I suppose I'll sit tight for now. So
maybe you can throw in something else and target Jokic or Embiid, somebody else who's a more of a higher tier player who's been struggling. Maybe you can throw Kyrie out for a guy like John Collins. And was this a rotisserie league or a head-to-head? Because if it's head-to-head, maybe you just look at punting assists and getting your guards who don't necessarily produce good in assists, but might be great in steals or help you out in other categories, banging in a bunch of threes. Maybe even,
Nine cat head-to-head.
9-cat head-to-head. I would maybe, if essentially, since it's one of your top first picks of your draft, it kind of defines your team not having Kyrie there. So maybe try to look at your team through the lens of if you were punting assists or maybe went in some kind of other direction, maybe that can help you find other players to target in a trade. But Bledsoe's fine. There's just a limited ceiling there with the Bucks playing so well. They blow out so many teams that kind of caps his minutes a little bit. And then with Rubio, that's if you're getting assists back, that is a great spot. Maybe I'm discounting that pairing a little bit too much. Maybe that is a better return than what you should get, but it also does feel a little bit like selling too low on Kyrie.
Well, there you go. As I said, I've got Rockets and Cavs going on right now. They just showed a cool little tribute, I guess, or photo reminiscing of the UCLA days where you got Kevin Love and Russell Westbrook on the same team playing together. Pretty fantastic duo there. And if I'm not mistaken, was Darren Collison and maybe Luke Richard Mbamute? I thought they had 4 NBA players on that team.
I'm pretty sure Darren Collison played with Kevin Love. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Who was it that played with Westbrook? That was another good guard, or was that also Darren Collison?
That's the same team.
Season? Oh, that's who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why this is coming up, because it's Westbrook and Love.
Okay.
So college teammates at UCLA. God, there was some fun videos of like warming up for a tournament game, maybe Final Four, and Kevin Love was doing his like outlet pass, but from the baseline, but into the bucket on the opposite end. So just full court chest passes into, and like making shots that way. It's incredible.
We got some good games going on right now. The Clippers at Toronto game isn't necessarily super competitive at the moment. It's at halftime, 64-46, but this is Kawhi Leonard going back to the Raptors, getting his ring. There was a ring ceremony before the game for Kawhi. The Raptors fans were cheering loudly for him. There was a tribute video for him that was played. right as they were handing him the ring and everything. So that was cool. He went through and gave, high fives and hugs to all of his ex-teammates from last season. So it was a neat little thing before the game. And it looks like Kawhi's amped up. The Clippers are amped up because they are letting the Raptors know exactly what they're missing by not having Kawhi on their team right now.
I thought the Raptors would win at home, kind of
I did too.
Some revenge playing at home. You never know if Kawhi's going to play and from game to game, just with rest too. So I was kind of hoping the Raptors would win.
Yeah, I mean it's an 18-point game. It's not completely out of reach, but it's certainly leaning that way. The Lakers at the Orlando Magic. It's cool to see that the Magic are able to stick in this one 57-55 right now. Lakers are up by 2. Anthony Davis has just 7 points so far. Jonathan Isaac has 2 blocks, 1 3-pointer, 1 of 7 from the field for John Isaac. LeBron's playing great, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. I'm not really seeing too much else of note from this game. Avery Bradley's making his return for the Lakers after being out due to injury for several weeks. Rajon Rondo has not entered this game. It looks like he might have been ruled out again. So, it's just nice to see that the Magic are keeping the Lakers close. Boston versus Indiana. That game's at 75-72. Boston up by 3 with 6 minutes left in the third. So some close ones here from the opening slate, and that's really nice to see, especially from a couple of games that maybe we didn't expect to be as competitive, like that Houston versus Cleveland game with Houston up 84-73 right now.
Celtics Pacers too is a potential playoff matchup. I mean, these are two teams that you would think are locks. So it's always fun to see two teams you think will see each other down the road too, how things go early in the season.
Oh, absolutely. If every time we see a potential playoff matchup, it's good to get an indication of how these teams are going to play each other, how they're going to attack. And do you think that coaches hide a lot of stuff? Like they maybe don't bring out everything that they're going to do early in the season, or does more stuff just naturally get added throughout the season to help teams become more diverse and to provide different looks against teams?
I think both exist. I think some coaches are able to pull things back and go just simplify things maybe during the regular season at times, but I really think it is a combination of both, and it's probably a coach-to-coach situation. If you have an experienced team, an experienced playoff team, I would doubt that a team like the Atlanta Hawks is saving much, for March and April games.
I'm really sorry. I was trying to read our chats and I got lost on what you were saying.
Don't worry. I'll keep you in the loop of what's going on in the chats.
It was fun to see people interacting. So
yeah.
I have no idea if you left me with a question or not.
No, you're good.
Okay,
you're good.
There's a lot to keep track of right now, trying to do this like red zone kind of basketball alternative. That and you want to find all the different narratives to discuss to keep everybody interested, because we don't have the highlights available to us to be like, oh, check out this awesome pass from so and so. But maybe we can find ways to loop in stuff from Twitter too, because maybe just getting on Worldwide Wob's Twitter and sharing one of his I don't know, maybe we can share a screen that way too. Find different things like that to do.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested, or you have a take, put it on the show, like, subscribe, rate, review, anything helps. We appreciate your input, and as we said, you can get onto the show. We've already been reading questions for fantasy purposes, and whatever else you want to throw at us, something fun, whatever it might be, you can get on the show. All you got to do is comment below.
Yeah, but just share with us the stories that you want us to talk about, or give us questions about the games that are going on, or even other stuff that's going on in the league right now, whether it's questions about the ratings crap or whatever, stat leaders throughout the league, whatever you want to talk about. This is like group therapy for NBA fans here.
There you go. There you go. Some fans might need it more so than other fan bases.
Of course. I mean,
okay,
the Bucks fans aren't gonna have too many mental instability issues this season. But if you're a Bulls fan, you're probably struggling a little bit.
well, let me ask you this: that the Bulls is a good answer for this next question, but after the Knicks, who feels like the most hopeless fan base right now?
It's hard for me to see where the Cleveland Cavaliers are going. So I kind of feel bad for them from the perspective that I don't have a lot of faith in their front office right now. That isn't to say that there's not good things to like about some of the players on their roster. It's just hard to see the guys on their team who would be considered like leaders on a playoff team right now.
I see no future stars.
Yeah, so that's pretty rough. Whereas, like, even if the Atlanta Hawks hadn't won a single game yet this season, we know that there's some really exciting players on that team, and that they're waiting for John Collins to come back. And John Collins is, if John Collins hadn't gotten suspended for whatever it was, he got the PED thing, he could have been challenging for an all-star spot this year. So It's going to be great to have him back, and that's going to really help. There were reports earlier this week that Trae Young was getting frustrated with the team, saying like, find me some help. And it's like, dude, John Collins is coming back. I get it. You're probably but that's good to see from Trae Young. You want your leaders to want to win nightly. And the fact that he's not willing to sit there and wait to win, that's good, because that's going to push the team to maybe move beyond their rebuilding situation and start looking towards loading up on extra pieces.
Yeah, the Hawks are just interesting to me. You could go 1 through 8 or 1 through 9 with players that are exciting, fun basketball players, and 8 of them are 24 and under, and the other is Vince Carter.
It's kind of hard to see some long-term hope for the Pistons, but
this is a huge
they're fine
season for them, though, right? Isn't it? Is Drummond coming off the books?
Well, I mean, Drummond coming off the books. Is Drummond leaving without them getting anything back? Probably. That's probably what's going to happen. And as much as, like, if they're not willing to pay Drummond, I've got to imagine some other team is. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Drummond has his flaws, but he's still a dominant center in this NBA for what he does. Or I think there's enough good things about what Drummond does. And also I think there's enough, there's been a lack of consistency with that organization being competitive during the time that he's been there. I just think most of the criticism about Drummond can be forgiven really quickly if he gets on a super competitive team and they win in the playoffs.
What's the best fit for him? I mean, with a guy like him, you almost have to have 4 shooters. I mean, what is the best fit for him to be a starting dominant center on a good playoff team?
You absolutely need 4 shooters around Andre Drummond, but he can also do more passing than what is considered. He's a big guy, so he can match up with any other big men that you need to, but he's also very nimble and he gets tons of steals for a center. So like,
he has great hands he's one of the best, like swiping centers that we've had this millennium.
And he's one of those guys who, they've tried to let him become a 3-point shooter over the last couple seasons. And that's fine. I'm glad that they were open-minded to that. But we've seen enough of Andre Drummond trying to shoot 3 balls that it's just like, it's not there. It's not, and it's probably never going to be there, but it's definitely not there anytime soon. But he has good enough touch that he's crafty enough that I'm really surprised nobody got him to hit that foul line extended shot or something similar. Like, instead of letting him arduously go down into the post and be super inefficient in the post with post-ups, as they tried to do a few years ago with Stan Van Gundy, they should have just hammered him getting that extended baseline shot. in the mid range. The McDice, the Tim Duncan shot, the shot that almost every old big man had. So
is there still time though? I mean, he still is pretty young for having so much experience in the league.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still a little bit of room for improvement with Andre Drummond. It's something that we have. I mean, we've seen it over the years as he's continued to improve even his free throw shooting. That's a spot where he was the worst in the league at it, and now he's become pretty darn good at it in relativeness, at least. Maybe not doing I mean, 64% isn't too bad considering he was shooting 37% a few years ago. So
yeah, he could add a baseline jumper. I mean, there's still plenty of time for him to at least get something to, I don't know if you're trying to draw away another big man, but he's such a good player and he's the best rebounder. We've said it a number of times since Dennis Rodman. So he's got to be a very desirable player.
Yeah, I'm sure there's really some teams that don't like his lack of a consistent motor, and they have a perspective that he wouldn't fit what they're doing. But like, can you? I mean, it's not a totally dumb comparison considering we've seen DeMarcus Cousins play with Anthony Davis. But like, can you imagine if Drummond was on that Lakers team with Davis and LeBron? Like, it would be murder.
Bucket Ninja.
Yo, what up, Bucket Ninja?
First time caller, first time listener. Just kidding. Bucket Ninja's usually with us on the stream. We appreciate it. I traded Drummond for CJ McCollum and Herter before the season. What are your thoughts? He's personally still happy with it.
In a rotisserie league, that might be okay. Are we talking dynasty, or is this a if it's a head-to-head, a redraft league, just one season? I don't like that trade. I would much rather have Drummond just because he's so dominant at rebounds for the season. Dynasty category league. Then I mean, there's reasons to look at Huerter and find reasons to like it, but I have a hard time trading Drummond in a head-to-head league. We're getting more details from Bucket Ninja in the chat, and essentially it's a dynasty situation. There's locks with contracts and stuff like that. So when you're taking into all those other factors, it's not just about the production from a guy necessarily. It's also about how long do you have their value for, and how long can you expect them to be a contributor. Plus, with a guy like Kevin Huerter, he might become a much more productive player than what people are seeing right now. We've seen an increase in assists from Kevin Huerter lately, and that's even with Trae Young being healthy. The Hawks kicked Evan Turner out of the rotation because they want Huerter to be that backup assist man, that backup facilitator. So there are definitely a lot of things to like about Huerter going forward.
Also, I know the other two are like superstar, top level, best player on the team type of players in many aspects. But Herter also is still an unknown. Like he could be like, we don't know what his ceiling is yet.
I think, you're right. There are things that we don't know yet, but he's got the possibility of filling his body out more, becoming stronger. They were already asking him to go to the rack more, to seek out contact more, to get to the line more this season. The Hawks believe in him. He should be their starting shooting guard next to Trae Young. He's got good size at 6'7". Even if he doesn't necessarily look as big as he is, where is a big guy out there. You're essentially looking at a Klay Thompson type of player who's allowed to do more facilitating than what Klay is. And probably not going to be as good on D as what Klay has been, but Huerter has some stick-to-itiveness, and he'll use his athleticism to get those chase down blocks from time to time too. So maybe I don't want to necessarily discount the possibilities of Huerter's ceiling on defense either.
Right, and ultimately you got the prospect out of the deal. You know what I mean? It's the unknown, but it is the potential to do who knows what.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, having that Huerter locked into a contract for 3 years, I understand that. Especially if like you were going to have to give up Drummond at some point, but that is what it is.
So the Cavs are giving the Rockets all they can handle right now. It's pretty fun. You got Cavs down by 1, 88-87.
Yeah, and the Cavs are spreading it out. It's not like any one guy on the Cavs is doing all the damage for them. Kevin Love is leading the way with 17 points, but then Colin Sexton or Heavy Sex, as I like to call him, he's got 16. Jordan Clarkson off the bench has 14. Kevin Porter Jr., who gets some James Harden type of comparisons for Kevin Porter Jr.'s ability to use the ball to get wherever he wants on the court. 11 points from Kevin Porter Jr., 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 of 5 from 3-point land for the rookie. Darius Garland has 11 and Tristan Thompson has 11 as well. 3 of 6 from 3-point land for Darius Garland. On the Rockets side of things, James Harden is leading the way with 35 points, 7 assists, 6 of 14 from 3-point land. Harden been taking his foot off the gas on scoring of late and maybe just running into a couple of good defensive matchups as well. So it's nice to see Harden pushing for a 40-point night here with the Rockets. I want to see Harden get back to aiming for that 40-point per game average again this season.
And I'm rooting for him to get to 40 points a game average as well. He's been stuck on 35 points for what seems like 10 minutes of almost like game time.
Well, end of the third, going into the start of the fourth, they're probably going to bring him back. He's probably back in now and is gonna, or has he been playing? Have you been watching this one?
Yeah, he's been playing.
Okay. Well, why isn't he getting his shots?
I'm surprised. He did have a nice little left hand. I mean, he is left-handed, but a behind the back pass from the corner that was pretty sweet. But they missed the 3. Porter Jr., man, he looks good tonight. He had a little shake on Russell Westbrook and I don't know if they tangled feet, but Westbrook went to the ground for a moment. It was right at the free throw line. Pretty interesting play.
You're saying he like crossed up Westbrook and broke his ankles?
I don't know if it was like a little, just like a triple threat shimmy, but like for a second, Westbrook seemed to stumble and if not went down. And I had to like make sure that was Porter Jr. and that is who it was.
Huh. Yeah. So you've liked what you've seen from him then tonight. I mean, it's hard not to like it when they're putting up positive statistics.
Yeah.
But
the Cavs have looked really good.
And KPJ hit another 3, 4 of 6 from 3-point land for 16 points so far. He's getting it done. He's playing defense, got 3 steals. So
this is the best I've seen the Cavs play all season by far.
Oh yeah, they've been absolutely atrocious, and they're playing hard against the Rockets. That's nuts.
Right. Plus, I mean, you got Kevin Love's name in trade talks. He had not the best game the other night and is coming back tonight. He's got 17 and 10 right now with most of the fourth quarter yet to play.
Yeah, I'm switching over to that Lakers and Orlando game, and then I'm going to check out another one as well.
So all sorts of NBA action going down right now.
Yep, Boston and Indiana. That one's gotten a little bit away from Indiana. Boston is up by 10 with the start of the fourth quarter, 94-84. At the end of the third, the Lakers are up 69-65 over the Orlando Magic. The Clippers and the Toronto Raptors are at the 5 minutes left in the third quarter, 72-65. So it's gotten closer, just a 7-point game there with the Clippers still leading the Raptors. Charlotte Kyle,
Kyle, I'll be back in just a moment while you run this down, if that's all right.
That's fine, brother.
All right.
Charlotte and Brooklyn. Brooklyn is up by 11 points at halftime, 64-53. In the second quarter, we've got Atlanta and Chicago almost really close here, 44-42. Chicago is up by 2. And then 5 minutes left in the second quarter for Utah and Minnesota, with Utah winning by 4 or leading by 4 over Minnesota right now. All right, a lot of stuff going on. Kind of poking at the different performances for the night. Kemba Walker's leading the way in points scored with 39, 6 3-pointers for him, 35 for Harden with 6 3-pointers of his own, 23 for Westbrook. Rebound-wise, we've got Sabonis leading the way with 12 rebounds so far, another 12 for Clint Capella, and then 3 guys with 10 rebounds, Anthony Davis, Kevin Love, and Aaron Gordon so far. So some nice work there. In the blocks department, Clint Capella leading the way with 3 blocks so far tonight, and then OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Anthony Davis, Ivica Zubac, Miles Turner, and John Isaac. I guess that's the who's who of the blocks brigade. They've all got 2 blocks so far tonight with all their games still going on. So some fun production so far in the games this evening with an 11-game slate here on Wednesday night. Get looking back at some more games. I wonder what Anthony's doing. He's probably hey.
I'm probably just listening to you. Take it away. Appreciate it. Needed to drain the lizard, as they say.
Yeah, but the Cavs still sticking it to the Rockets, 99-90 right now. Little under 8 minutes left in that one.
Kyle, just to be clear, this is the closest game, latest, right? This was one of the first tip-offs, so this is most likely to end first.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. I thought that was the case. So as of right now, I'm on the game that is the closest to being over, and the Cavs up by 9 at home. The Cavs going with I don't know if you said this while I was gone, but the mid to late 90s throwback court and jerseys, which I'm a big fan of. The Andre Miller era, if in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, that court is super dope with the hoop logo at the middle, and just that color scheme is really, really slick. So it's a very good choice by the Cavs to go with that old school look, and then they've got some other jerseys, or is it the ones they're wearing tonight? But they've got some
no, these are throwbacks from the time we're speaking of.
I think their city jersey ones this year kind of have a
they have they're
emblematic
style.
of it.
Yes, they're definitely it's an homage or a modernized version.
Oh, biscuits. I am running into the same League Pass issues I had earlier, so I hope that you are having okay issues. Or I would just leave yours playing is what I guess I would say to you.
Oh, okay. Mine was going in and out for a moment, or you could tell it was I don't know, getting fragmented or something. It was something was up, but it's kind of corrected and it's going now.
Good for you.
Cavs hit a 3, so 99-93. Cavs up by 6.
Indiana's making a charge back against the Celtics, 96-94 now, just a 2-point game. Wow, Indiana's really coming back strong. 9 minutes left in that one.
I don't know if you saw the comment from MSRF. He said, I believe it's pronounced herder, which is what I also say.
Yeah, I'm sure it is pronounced herder. I just think it's fun to say Huerter.
All right, rock on, brother. We Bucket Ninja. We need to get Kyle a headset, or his arm is going to be super jacked.
This is the heaviest microphone too. I don't do any other workouts. It's just the podcast. That's actually the reason why I did it. My doctor prescribed the podcast.
Cavs hit a 3, Rockets come back down, and Harden hits a 3, so 102-96 now. Cavs up by 6 with 6 to go. 3's on the way, no good. Rockets a chance to cut it. Oh, I just got kicked off League Pass. This is happening live, folks.
We don't control League Pass. I have been sending out some tweets tonight with the hashtag League Trash, though. So That's a good pun.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, biscuits.
Are you still down?
I can't get the Rockets Cleveland game going for whatever reason, but I've got the Pacers game rolling, so I'll be able to watch that one at least.
There you go. James Harden has a toilet bowl rim out and out of bounds. Might have been an offensive foul.
You still think Houston's going to be able to pull this one out, or did Cleveland just have the magic on this evening?
I think it's going to be similar to what we saw last night with the Hawks, where they played great for about 46, 47 minutes, and then it went to overtime, and the Heat won. This is another young team that I guess with Kevin Love, it's a little bit different, but you don't necessarily have, a dominant team right now that's going to be able to play or has shown the ability to play 48 minutes against a very good team this year.
Right. Even though Kevin Porter's had a great game up to this point, you're not feeling confident that he's going to be able to hold off James Harden and Russell Westbrook down the stretch. Ooh, Harden up to 45 points. Nice.
Yeah, those last 10 came pretty fast after I said it seemed like it had been a while.
Yeah, he can do that.
Porter Jr. hits another 3. Oh my goodness.
21 points for the young man. That's got to be a career high already.
Who's your preferred Porter Jr.? I think you might have tweeted this earlier this season.
Oh yeah, whether it's Otto Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., or Michael Porter Jr. I think Michael Porter Jr. will end up having the best career, but that's if he can stay healthy. And Kevin Porter Jr. has some interesting things to him, as we're seeing on this night. He's shining. So maybe we'll be proven wrong.
We just saw I just saw something from Harden as Dellavedova was cutting down the lane, and he kind of just gave Dellavedova like a slap, or kind of like a get out of here, like a shrugging him off for no reason. And I know Dellavedova is a guy that probably deserves to have that happen, but it is just it's those little things. It's those little things that I just don't like about Harden. And I feel like it's just happened a lot more this last year and a half.
Whoa. Harden slapped away an agitator.
That's why it's hard for me to really bash him too much for this one, because
your Harden takes are almost as bad as your Wilt Chamberlain takes.
Oh my God. Who is Wilt Chamberlain? Who is that?
By the way, when you talk about things that Giannis is doing this season, like the only person who's done similar things to what Giannis is doing is Wilt Chamberlain. So like these comparisons aren't going to mean anything to you because you don't think that Wilt Chamberlain. What's the really bad joke you say about like a Donald Foyle?
Yeah, Donald Foyle. You know who I think if Wilt Chamberlain played today, he would be. I think Christian Wood would be a good comparison.
I can't tell you how stupid that makes you sound. Like it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I mean, there's not a lot of tape out there on Wilt Chamberlain, but what little you see is like him doing the most athletic, craziest stuff from the biggest, strongest man ever created. And you just go and watch a Conan movie too and see him standing next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator.
Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, show me the game footage of him scoring 100. I'd love to see it. I really would.
You got a conspiracy theory about him not actually scoring 100 points in a game?
Oh, that definitely didn't happen. He's Paul Bunyan, dude. None of this happened.
He's Paul Bunyan. I like that.
Paul Bunyan had a blue ox. Okay, yeah, 100-point game. Great.
Oh gosh, wow, you sound so smart. All right, what's going on with that Houston game?
We're still coming back from break, but MSRF is back into the show and says people just keep sleeping on Powell's value. He does enough to be rosterable as a sixth man, and this Raptors backcourt isn't exactly known for being healthy.
Yeah, no. The thing is, it's in fantasy. If you're looking at your last like three guys, the guys that are rotating in off your bench, or maybe even your fourth or fifth guys. Like, and when you're putting that into the context of where those players rank, you're talking about the last like 30 to 50 guys. They're all streamers because they're going to be inconsistent. A lot of those guys are going to be ones like Norm Powell who take advantage of injuries to a backcourt or the team. And Norm Powell has been the benefit, but also has been lucky that at the same exact time that Kyle Lowry comes back from injury, Fred VanVleet goes down with an injury. So it's kind of happenstance in some respects that have, and good fortune that have led to Norm Powell stepping up and being good. and he's definitely worth streaming in most leagues, but he isn't a quote unquote must roster player, meaning someone that needs to be on someone's roster at all times. And in most respects, I think, especially in 10-team leagues, like if you've got a good enough squad, you might look at Norm Powell and be like, there's just not enough wick there long term for me to hang on to him. Or to even grab him over somebody else who has better long-term potential. Like if Markelle Fultz was sitting on my roster, even if Norm Powell's maybe been more productive so far this season, I'm going to want Markelle Fultz knowing that he can do so much more going forward later this season, and that Norm Powell might be limited by coming off the bench when the Raptors are healthy.
MSRF, if you can't get enough of him, he's got another question. I'm trying to get OG for Carmelo and Norm.
I think that's reasonable. Carmelo's probably going to have decent value most of the season, although his percentages will probably continue to drop off. Some of the kind of inflated defensive stats we've seen of late, I think won't necessarily be there, but Carmelo's playing a ton of minutes. So maybe he's just in a role that he likes being in on this Blazers team. Maybe he's motivated by the fact that he hasn't played NBA basketball in over a year, and we're going to see a better defensive Carmelo this season, maybe. But I do think OG has the best long-term value and long-term upside out of those two players for the rest of the season, especially if we get deeper into the Blazers season and it turns out that they are not in the playoff race. And then we see it could just go a lot of ways.
We appreciate all in any feedback you guys have. MSRF, appreciate you commenting into the show, being a part of the show. That's why it's an interactive live stream. So it's 105-104, 3:11 left in Cleveland. Rockets down by 1. James Harden now has 48 points. He had 35 at the end of the third quarter. So he's got 13 so far, a couple points away from 50. His career high is 62. You guys saw the video last week of him getting 60, but not getting back into the game for the career high. We'll see what happens here with 3:11 to go. Potential of overtime, who knows? But right now is 9 of 17 from three-point land, 18 of 32 overall. So pretty good percentages right now for James Harden in terms of being efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a really good shooter guy. I keep trying to get that game to come up on mine, and it just won't let me. So I'm stuck on some of the other games. I guess it is what it is. I'm glad that you have access to it.
At least for now. We'll see how things go here. But Cavs got the ball after an empty possession for the Rockets. So under 3 minutes, Tristan Thompson drives, gets caught up. Harden, somebody knocked it away. Harden has 2 blocks tonight too.
Nice. Yeah, he's not, he gets it done there with the blocks from time to time.
So it looks like a turnover against Thompson.
Oh my God. The Suns announced their starting lineup with 5 Baby Yoda memes. Oh my gosh.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll
Twitter?
I'll share it here with everybody.
Good idea.
Yeah. Ooh.
So are you liking Baby Yoda? I think I'm an episode from being fully live with The Mandalorian right now. Oh, that's great. Oh, with the haircuts. Wow. Oh. Dude, the Baby Yoda memes right now are so hot.
Oh, sorry to anybody listening on the podcast. To describe what we're looking at, we're sharing a screen right now from my Twitter feed, and it's the Phoenix Suns tweeted out their starting lineup, but it's all the Baby Yoda memes with a Suns jerseys put on them, and then the players' hairs photoshopped on top of it too, including their facial hair. And it's just great. I mean, it's completely ridiculous and stupid, but it's also
so cute.
And it's just fun that, like, okay, this is social media. Let's not take ourselves seriously. Let's have some fun with it. So good things.
MSRF talking about Mandalorian. Baby Yoda makes the show right now. The past 2 episodes were filler. So I saw some of the 4th episode or most of the 4th, and I think that might be fair to say. So I'm sure more things to get excited about as we roll through. But Disney Plus is a hit, man. Lots of fun with all that. What, you got something that you keep going to on Disney Plus? A show that you're like really got you pumped? Something 80s, 90s nostalgia?
No, I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff on my watch list. All the Marvel movies are on there. A lot of the Disney cartoons that I watched growing up, the cartoon movies. But it's the ones that I watched growing up as a kid. It's not necessarily a lot of the newer Disney stuff that's on my feed. I like everybody else. I've been checking out The Mandalorian. It's the best Star Wars since the original trilogy. I'm also a cartoon guy in general. If it's like Marvel comics based or superhero based, or if it's, I'll check out all the Star Wars cartoons. A lot of them aren't necessarily great, but every once in a while you'll find some good ones. So I've been checking out the Star Wars Rebels.
So we don't just nerd out about NBA basketball and stat lines and blocks per game and per 36 and net defensive rating. I mean, we're also nerds of other varieties as well.
Yeah, dude. So you gotta have multiple outlets, right? There's not NBA games 24 hours a day, unfortunately.
Right.
So
yeah, that's why you watch so much professional wrestling.
That's why you do.
No, you do.
All right. What else? What do we got going on here? Give us the lowdown on the Houston Cleveland game. Keep us.
They did a poll question on the Rockets.
Oh my God, the Rockets are up.
107, 105. Space Jam is, I guess, the fans' favorite basketball movie. I actually only saw Space Jam as the option. I didn't see the other options.
Okay, Harden has 51 points. Westbrook has 23, and nobody else on the Rockets has more than 8. So
awesome. This is kind of what we expected, though. Like these stat lines, even though it's against the Cavs, it's kind of funny that this is maybe more what we expected from the get-go.
Kevin Porter Jr. has a career high 21 points, 3 steals, 5 of 8 from three-point land, 8 of 14 from the field overall. Hasn't gotten to the free throw line once, which also speaks to it not being a sustainable performance. But definitely a very nice one for the rookie. Man, sorry, Cavs. It's you just, as soon as you let the Rockets get up by even 1 point, I just feel like it's game over, brother.
Exactly. It's just like we said last night. You get to playing 45 plus good minutes, but not 48, and the good teams will beat you in the end.
The Celtics and Indiana Pacers. Celtics are up 103-102 with just under 5 minutes left in that game. The Lakers, just under 5 minutes left, are up by 8 points, 86-78 over the Orlando Magic. The Clippers continue to lead the Toronto Raptors. 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter there. The Clippers are up by 17, 88-71. Check that. Up by 14, 88-74. Other games to run in on: Chicago at Brooklyn. Charlotte at Brooklyn. Charlotte is down 65-78. 4 minutes left in the third there. We are at halftime for Atlanta and Chicago, 66-52. Chicago leading that one. And then at halftime of the Minnesota-Utah game, and it is tied 59-59.
Good stuff, man.
Thanks, pal. Off the bench for the Pacers, Aaron Holiday having a heck of a game. 8 of 9 from the field, 18 points. Really helping to keep the Pacers or get the Pacers back in this one. Pacers are up right now 105-104 with just under 4 minutes left.
Porter Jr. for the lead for 3 from the corner, and he gets it to go. 108-107. Cavs up 140 to play.
Ooh, KPJ.
Dude, he God. Sexton drove it in from the top of the key and kind of just whipped a pass out to the corner. KPJ was calling for it, and he found him.
Give me the ball.
Oh, possible turnover. Harden at the nope. Recovers at midcourt. Gets to Russ for 3. Russ, no good. clanking, but falling out of bounds while trying to pursue the rebound was Tristan Thompson. So it's going to stay with the Rockets, down by 1:17 to play. Yep, he was definitely on the line. So it'll be underneath the Rockets basket to inbound. Looks like House is going to be the inbounder. Gives it to Harden. Crab dribbles reverse out to 3. Resets. Westbrook wants it. Drives inside. Nope. Hand off to Capella. Oh, Harden. Easy floater. Easy floater. You know what's great about this game from Harden? Only 3 of 3 from the free throw line. Only taken 3 free throw shots. That's awesome. So he's got, 53 points now?
Wow, Brogdon's got a pretty nice mustache this season. Did he have that last year?
No, he did not.
Huh. Dude.
Looking like Carl Weathers out there.
He's got a little bit of a chin thing going too. It's kind of Three Musketeers-y. I don't know about it. Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know. D'Artagnan usually treated as the younger cat who's got like a fresh face, clean shaven. So probably more of a Porthos.
I'm glad that you know more, the Three Musketeers facial hair.
I don't even know if that's the real guy's name. I just knew it sounded like Three Musketeers' name.
Oh, D'Artagnan for sure.
Oh yeah, but D'Artagnan's the easy one to remember.
Yeah. So PJ Tucker hit a big 3, and now the Cavs are down by 4. 20 of 34, James Harden. 9 of 20 for Westbrook so far.
I'm sorry, Cavs. I was rooting for you to pull this one out, man. I mean, you're at home. You're playing in front of your fans. At least, you know what? If you're a Cavs fan this season, I think all you ask for is for them to be competitive. So you walk out of this game feeling pretty good. If your expectations are reasonable.
Yeah, right. Well, the fans got to see Naughty by Nature at halftime. What are they complaining about?
Oh, dude.
Plus the Cavs playing a competitive game. I mean, yeah, most of them are there to see Harden anyway.
Yeah, dude. If you're expecting wins, that's some OPP stuff right there, man.
That's right. The win was other people's property, and those other people look like the Rockets. But hey, 37 seconds left, down by 4. Still a chance. Nope, and turnover. KPJ gives it right to Westbrook on the inbound, and Capella might have just sealed the deal with a huge dunk on the rim run. 114-108, 31.1 to go.
109-109 in the Boston Celtics Indiana Pacers game. 2 minutes left here. Excitement. 88-80 in that Los Angeles versus Orlando game with 4 minutes left. The Clippers are up 20 on the Raptors, so that one's probably going to be over, but there are still 9 minutes left, so maybe give a little bit of hope for the Raptors to pull something out of the poop shoot. The Charlotte Hornets at the Brooklyn Nets, 72-82. Brooklyn is leading that one with 3 minutes left in the third, and then we're still waiting for those 2 games at halftime to come back. Memphis at Phoenix has started. Phoenix gets up to a quick start over the Grizzlies, 7-0 in the first minute and a half.
Lakers Magic too. I'm sorry if I missed you talking about that, but 3:36 to go, 88-81. Lakers winning in Orlando. Not too far out though for the Magic to come back.
Yep. No. This is just a good game. It's low scoring, which is not something I mind to see as a fan of the old Pistons that would kind of relish in limiting teams.
KPJ is just devastated right now on the bench about the pass because he was the inbounder who gave the ball away to Westbrook. He is devastated right now.
Oh man, it's you lay it all out on the line. You score a career high 24 points, and then you turn it over late when you're trying to win the game. Yeah, it's brutal.
He just had the same inbound play, and I think that Garland might have caught it for a second. or maybe it was Clarkson had it for a second, but it went out of Garland's hands, and so it was another turnover on the same play or same setup. Porter inbounding. Ooh, but they get the steal. Sexton. All right, 114, 110. It's not out of the realm of possible. Okay, there's something going on here.
All right.
Sexton got a huge steal.
How much time left? Just a few seconds,
20,
right?
22.7 seconds. So a lot of time. It looked like it was over after the Capella dunk, but now with this steal, that's really three inbounds plays in a row that were turnovers. 3 straight, 2 from the Cavs and 1 from the Rockets in a row.
Man, if you're within 6, that's 2 possessions. So
yeah. Well, if they had got that inbound, then it seemed like. And now Harden's at the free throw line, so he's going to get his 4th and 5th free throws. He hits the 4th, so he's 4-4 with 1 to go here. 22.7 seconds left, so Cavs still a chance. They are out of timeouts. Rockets have 2 timeouts left.
The Pacers have kind of taken a step forward over the Celtics, 114-109 with a minute and 20 seconds left in that one. Malcolm Brogdon's got 23 points, 8 assists. Nice to see the assists up for Brogdon after he had just 2 in the previous game. Domantas dominant again. 13 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists from the big man. 1 steal. Domantas Sabonis' dad was known as one of the best passing big men of all time. So it's fun to see him continuing the tradition there and getting more of an opportunity on this Pacers team this season to show off that ability.
He's incredible, man. 22 rebounds on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Heck of a night. 18 and 22.
Kemba Walker with 42 points for the Celtics. 18 points from Jaylen Brown, just 15 from Jason Tatum. There has been some speculation about the whole Kevin Love to the Celtics thing, but ultimately would he, he's not better than Daniel Tice. Like when you think about Daniel Tice's contributions on defense, in addition to Daniel Tice having at least some ability to play offense and stretch the floor, I don't know that. I think a lot of people would think, who the heck's this Daniel Tice guy? Kevin Love's obviously better. Why wouldn't you want Kevin Love in there instead of Daniel Tice? But talking about fit, defense, and how everything goes on both sides of the ball, I think Daniel Tice is arguably a more impactful player than Kevin Love, especially on this Celtics team with the fact that even if you got Kevin Love, I think you'd have to still continue to start Daniel Tice at center, and you just have to put Love at power forward.
I feel like the Kevin Love to Boston comments and rumors have been going on for a decade.
But he wore a shirt the other day that said Harvard on it. Yeah. And the Cavaliers even posted a picture of him walking into the game the other night, and he was wearing a Harvard sweatshirt. So when I saw that, the conspiracist in me was like, oh, he's trying to tell people that he wants to go to Boston or
Lake Oswego, man. Lake Oswego.
Yeah. That's just the that's what he's telling. It's diversionary tactics. It's something. I don't know. Doesn't make sense.
I'm sure he'd be pleased with either. Portland, he gets to go home. The Celtics are going to be a playoff team. He's improved his status and played for a purpose for, immediately. Sabonis gets the bucket. So what do you have here? You have 31, 30, 29?
Did you already tell us the end of the Rockets game?
No, but I'm going to.
Oh, okay. When?
Once this one ends, because we got a pretty hot game here going now between the Pacers and Celtics, 116-115, 17.1 seconds left. Is that what you have on your end? Or I'm just trying to see if our internets are matched up here.
Well, I don't think that we're going to be able to stream together in cohesion. So right, I wouldn't worry too much about that. But honestly, watching the streams for us, we're pretty much going most of this broadcast off the box score stuff to give a peek behind the scenes. because that's the thing that updates quickest too. Like, I'm watching the Celtics Pacers game, but I'm seeing everything in the box score happen first, and then I'm just kind of like taking it in and using, I have the other games up as reference points too. But yeah, unfortunately the spoilers come through on the box score first.
I won't allow it. I won't allow it on my end.
Well, you're doing that's good. It probably makes for a more authentic exaltation from you.
So 15 seconds left. Pacers just hit a free throw. You got wow. Okay, Kemba drives right down the lane. Pacers just Swiss cheese D on that one. So
what's the score?
118, 117. Pacers up by 1 with 10.2 seconds, and the Pacers have the ball. So Celtics have to foul, or you're going to go for the steal and then the foul, basically right away with 10.2. So there's a timeout, so we'll be back to that game in a second. So I did want to wrap things up for you guys, though, with Rockets and Cavs. So down by 6. Sexton had the ball, drove down into the Cavs. They missed the shot. The Rockets are into the Rockets. The Rockets got the ball, and with probably 10 to 15 seconds, the Cavs could have fouled down by 6, but they kind of just let the Rockets run out the clock. There wasn't much urgency. I know it would have been a free throw battle, and that involves Harden, which is the odds are against you on most occasions. So, but ran out the clock a little bit sooner than I would have liked. But maybe when it's not your year, getting the game over with on a Wednesday night isn't the worst thing.
No, if you're telling me that there was still clock out there and they weren't trying to foul and send guys to the line to make something happen, I don't care. Like, as long as there's 6 seconds on the clock in a 2-possession game, you should be trying to make something happen, especially if you have turnovers or timeouts that allow you to advance the ball too. But yeah, I see that too often in the NBA, where like there are times too where I think a team is down by a lot, and I'm like, start fouling earlier in the game, or there's got to be other strategies that you can take other than to just give up a lot of the time, especially late. I mean, we saw in that Bulls game against the Hornets where Levine hit that game winner. They scored 14 points in 45 seconds. Like, crazy stuff can happen. So anyways,
I agree. You can score. I think Bo Ryan once said you could score 7 points in 1.7 seconds. So you fight till the end.
Absolutely.
Ooh, okay, I do like Brogdon's facial hair, and it is very Three Musketeer reminiscent. And the chin piece is interesting. I almost wish it wasn't there, even though it is well angled, because I think it would be more like Billy D. Williams kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he smokes, home rolled cigarettes out of one of those extendo things like Cruella de Vil. He just looks very he looks too much about himself with that little chin piece there. I'm not a fan of it, but then again, I just think everybody should grow out their hair and look like a wizard. So yeah. I'm not one to have much of an aesthetic opinion on things.
Well, Brogdon got fouled, and there's 7 seconds left. He hit both free throws, so there's a timeout now. Celtics will have the ball. 7 seconds to go, down by 3 in Indiana.
Well, looking like the Pacers are going to be able to pull this one out. Although, as you said, you can score 7 points in 1.7 seconds. So
yeah,
there's still time.
Kemba's going to take a 3 here. If he hits it, then we're right back to playing the foul game, but at a tie. So
about 6 minutes left in that Clippers versus Raptors game. The Clippers remain up by 18, 100-82, and that's the Clippers. So that's lawyer's law. The first team to get to 100 usually wins.
There you go. Who is lawyers? It is one of the California team's announcers who originally said that. Is that right?
Yeah, the Clippers.
Clippers. Okay.
Yeah, the Clippers. I can't think of his first name, but his last name's Lawyer. So Lawyer's Law saying, first team to get to 100 wins, usually.
Wrapping our last note really on the Cavs Rockets. So Harden ended up with 55 points, 20 of 34, 10 of 18 from three, only 5 of 5, and 2 of those free throws happened with less than 30 seconds remaining. So Harden, one hell of a night, 55 altogether on only 5 free throw attempts. Pretty incredible. Okay, so the Celtics are going to inbound. Looks like it's Tatum to inbound to Walker. Walker, top of the key. Puts up the 3, deep, and air balls out of bounds. And they're saying, Kemba's trying to say that it was tipped. I don't know who was that, Holiday? They're making the replay sign, but I mean, if there hasn't been a replay, it's really your only move. Why wouldn't you replay it? Kyle, you love replay.
I mean, it just depends.
Challenge, I should say.
No, the challenge call is stupid.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna get a challenge here, unless it's an auto replay, which it probably should be. So we'll see if they got a piece of this. He did not get a piece. He hit his hand, but he did not touch the ball. So it maybe could have been a foul.
All right. Well, checking in on some other games. The Charlotte at Brooklyn game has gotten close with the Brooklyn Nets now just up by 2, 86 to 88. Just jumped up 90 to 86. 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Nice to see that game's getting close after the Nets had been running away from it. Devontae Graham's got 27 points right now. He continues to lead the way for the Hornets on a nightly basis. Miles Bridges has 12 points of his own. And then Cody Zeller, 10 off the bench. The only guys in double figures for the Hornets. From the net side of things, Jared Allen is leading the way with 21 points. Theo Pinson has 12 off the bench. And then we got 12 from Dinwiddie and 11 from Garrett Temple. Hopefully the Hornets can pull one out here. I guess I'm always rooting for the underdog, even when they're playing another kind of underdog.
You love the underdogs.
Well, I mean, it's just I grew up with not a lot of money, so I had to spend a lot of time at the playground, and my brothers and I would do underdogs. You just.
And that began your love.
Man, this Atlanta and Chicago game. Alex Len is leading the way with 15 points, and then Damian Jones with 10. So the two centers for the Atlanta Hawks are the only players who have scored in double digits so far. 8 minutes left in the third of that game. The Bulls are up 77 to 61 over the Hawks. Trae Young struggling, 2 of 11 from the field. Kevin Huerter, 3 of 7 from the field in his action so far. On the Bulls side of things, Zach LaVine is leading the way with 21 points, getting helped out by Lauri Markkanen, who's got 12 points on 4 of 5 shooting. Nice to see the efficiency there from Lauri Markkanen.
We're ready for him to turn it on, man. And enough's enough. Now's the time. Yeah, we've been saying that for a few weeks, though. But
yeah, he's been getting better. He's been playing better.
This last week, he's looked a lot better.
So
more aggressive, better lines.
Utah at Minnesota was tied at halftime, and they're still keeping it close, 77 to 75. Jazz up by 2 with just under 6 minutes left in the third. 20 points for Mitchell, 12 for Gobert, 14 for Joe Ingles on the Jazz side of things. And then from the Timberwolves, we've got 16 from Towns, 15 from Wiggins, and 13 from Covington. Off the bench, Jeff Teague scoring 22 points with 6 assists, 3 of 3 from three-point land, 7 of 8 from the field overall. Teague was questionable coming into this game, so it's kudos to him for having a heck of a night off the bench.
So Brogdon is fouled on the inbound, and the Pacers are up by 3, now 4 with the first free throw. He's going to get another one, so it's going to be tough. There's 2 seconds left. They pretty much have it sealed over Boston tonight.
No timeouts left for the Celtics, so no more opportunity to advance the ball, and not enough time to try to get a or a 5-point play out of it.
And there you have it.
Yep. And I just saw Domantas Sabonis cuss. Yeah, Domantas Sabonis looks a lot like the werewolf from Monster Squad. I know you mentioned Monster Squad the other night, and Domantas
Right.
Sabonis, there's something about his facial features that is very wolfish.
Something like that. His
Yeah,
eyes might be a little bit too far apart and away from his. I'm not sure.
There's some
I'm not trying to be
lycanthrope in his familial lineage.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's fair.
he's definitely descends from the Wolfensteins of Sabonis land.
What's become of us?
Well, I mean, it's a long show. We're gonna get into some really deep details.
That's right.
All
So
right.
the Bucks and Pelicans about to start.
So
We're gonna
Pacers
tip
win
off
that
after
one.
that.
Pacers are now 16-9 on the season, and the Celtics dropped to 17-6. So it's great to see a competitive game from two teams that might meet in the playoffs, as you mentioned earlier.
You can't ask for much more than that. That's what you want to see, is a close game in the end that's entertaining throughout. And
now, we were missing two guys from this game, though. Marcus Smart from the Celtics was out, and Victor Oladipo will eventually return for the Pacers. So that's two more, great talents to add to the mix eventually. And yeah, so some good things there.
Yeah, one of the games we thought would be one of the better of the evening, but the game we really thought was going to be the most fun was Clippers Raptors, and that has not been the case. 2:29 to go, Clippers up 107-86.
Yeah, it is what it is. From in that perspective, it's not too surprising the fact that Kawhi Leonard came out with a purpose to win this game. You can definitely chalk it into a revenge game narrative, even though it was more of like a "Hey, welcome back, pal" narrative. On the Raptors. Sorry, what was that?
Talked about the Cavs being in their 90s throwback and 90s throwback court. The Raptors doing the same. They have their original home whites with the throwback court, and all of the inside of the arc is all purple until you get to the paint. So it's pretty cool court that they have, in addition to like the Raptor paw prints streamed throughout part of the court as well. So good stuff by the NBA.
Yep. No, there's been some absolutely wonderful special courts that have been added to the mix this season. Some really fun jerseys. Not in love with all of them, but I mean, you can't appease everybody. Yeah. So it's definitely love to see the throwback courts and just more inventive stuff. And whatever's going to attract the fans to the games, and whatever's going to get us to watch the games. I'm definitely more excited to watch a game when I see a dumb court that I like, like that Charlotte Hornets court with the basketball
so cool
at the free throw line, and or even like when I see a detail on a court. The new Brooklyn Nets courts this season are fun.
Yep.
And different, if nothing else.
Sure.
And then the Indiana Pacers on their court, when they have like the shape of the state with different stuff, like I love that stuff. I think the Milwaukee Bucks on one of their courts, they have the shape of the state as well. So I like those things.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they had a new alternate, because they used to have a court they would wear when they would wear their black jerseys at home, and they would have a more like a darker court but more black around the baseline and on the court itself. So
you're talking about the Bucks?
Yeah,
the Bucks were like the first team to do the alternate court. Yeah, yep. And it's the Fear the Deer court. It's the blackout court. They wear their blackout jerseys, and it's all in black. Yep.
There's a buck on the court, and they also had the M on the court as well for Milwaukee, even back at the Bradley Center.
Yep. So yeah, no, absolutely that, and ever since that, we've seen a bunch of different courts come out. And it's been a lot of fun. Oh, biscuits.
Just a minute to play in the fourth quarter of the first nationally televised game. 110-88. Clippers up big.
I've got the Charlotte Hornets and Brooklyn Nets game on right now. Brooklyn up 94-93 on the Gamecast with 6.5 minutes left. Devontae Graham's bringing the ball up there. I've also got the Grizzlies versus Suns on 27-19 with the start of the second quarter, 11.5 minutes left there. Love having John Morant out there. He's I believe tied for second in the league with scoring in the fourth quarter or something like that. There's some kind of scoring stat in regards to the fourth quarter where John Morant is, it's one person like Luka or something, and then it's Harden and John Morant, which I think is just awesome to see him already getting associated with some of those more dominant clutch players at the end of games.
I'm so excited for him, man, because as I kind of like the way they've done it. I mean, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. first. Now you got Ja. And then the next thing will be to add like that solid wing player. And then I think you have your trio. But to have the wing player be the last to add, I think that's the way to go because Ja will already have the idea of what it's like to really be the main option. Not that you're necessarily going to get someone that's going to, supersede him as being the go-to guy, but it's just I do like the order of how it's breaking down for the Grizzlies in terms of this rebuild.
Yeah, they you wonder if they'll go out and trade for somebody, like trade with maybe this Suns team that they're playing tonight and grab an Oubre or a Michael Bridges or a Cam Johnson from them because they've got extra depth there at that position right now. Or do you go into free agency next season with just tons of cash and say we're going to pay as much as we have to get Brandon Ingram away from the Pelicans?
Andre Drummond, dude.
They've got, I just think I really like Jonas Valanciunas. I think he's underrated, and the fact that he's banging threes this year, it's a different player than what Drummond is in some respects, but I don't know. I guess I'm happy with Valanciunas on this team because he gives you that big man who can match up with other big men. He gives you that size that you can have to bang against guys, but then you also have the versatility of a Brandon Clark, of the versatility of a Jaren Jackson Jr. to be able to play that backup center position or to match ups with different looks. So I don't know if Drummond would be the best fit with the Grizzlies, although if they moved on from Valanciunas in some respect, then maybe that is a target for them. And I wouldn't think that's bad either. I think as we go forward, you're definitely going to see Jaren Jackson Jr. become more and more of a perimeter player who uses his ability to move with the ball as that develops and he gets older to be kind of a more of an off the dribble guy like Giannis. So yeah, it would make sense to maybe go out and get somebody who's going to be dominant down low so that you don't even have to worry about Jaren Jackson Jr. putting himself in too much position to get into the foul trouble that's limited him up to this point in his career.
I'm going to give you a handful of teams. Would you tell me whose rebuild you like best or who's like maybe ahead of schedule? If I give you a handful, would that be all right?
Yeah. Do you mind if I just run us through where we're at right now on things?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. The Los Angeles Lakers beat the Orlando Magic 96-87. Nothing too crazy from the lines in that game to really look at. We already talked about the Clippers beating the Toronto Raptors. And there's, again, there's no big lines really from that game. I wanted to talk about it a little bit more, but I think it just kind of is what it is. Charlotte at Brooklyn right now. We've got Charlotte back up. They are 97-94, up three points on the Brooklyn Nets. 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter in that one. Atlanta and Chicago. Chicago has gotten away from Atlanta in this one, 95-72. Atlanta was playing on the second night of a back-to-back, so kind of hard to fault them for falling behind. Maybe they can make a run here with 3 minutes left in the third. Still got time to come back. Utah and Minnesota. Utah is now up 90-78. This game had been sticking pretty close. 2 minutes left in the third. Be interesting to see how that one kind of unfurls going forward. It's nice that it's still relatively close. Hopefully we can have a good game to track down the stretch. Memphis at Phoenix 29-26 with 10 minutes left in the second. So yeah, that kind of wraps us with where we're at right now. We've got the New Orleans Pelicans and Milwaukee Bucks kicking off here soon on ESPN. And then we've got Oklahoma City over to Sacramento and the New York Knicks versus the Golden State Warriors later tonight. We're planning on sticking with this through the New Orleans and Milwaukee game. If things get off the rails there at halftime, maybe we dip out just because it's a long haul here already. But thanks for sticking with us through this. If you are enjoying this broadcast, please check us out on Twitter for the pod on Twitter, on iTunes, on Spotify, on any of the podcast app that you listen to, and then also YouTube here on Twitter. Like, review, subscribe to the podcast where applicable. We do appreciate that very much. It helps us rise up the rankings and to look towards getting some what are they called? The people who give you money for stuff.
Sure, sponsors. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for our very first sponsor. That's a goal of the show. So we're looking to hit it and hopefully get some more after that. So the way you guys can help us is rating, reviewing, commenting, giving us your feedback, subscribing, whatever it takes on multiple platforms. It really does help us get to where we want to go. So,
but thanks for just watching and listening to. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mucho appreciated.
Yeah, if you crave NBA content, we love to help create it for you and be a part of the fun like we're doing tonight in an interactive watch-along format. You get to be a part of the show. You can watch the show. You can listen to it in the morning. You can comment into the show and get your comments literally on the screen and have us interact with you that way. Fantasy questions, NBA news, notes, all sorts of stuff. This is the place.
Word up, brother.
Kyle, do you want to do a quick intermission? We typically do this at halftime. Now is sort of halftime of our night.
I think with the fact that we don't have any games at the moment we got the one game, the Brooklyn Nets and Charlotte Hornets here with about 4.5 minutes left. It's tied 99-99 right now. Why don't we get through this one, and then we don't really have any games that'll be – we'll have about 5 minutes before we have any games getting to the end of their stretch there, because the Atlanta-Chicago game and the Utah-Minnesota game are both still in the third right now. I think we'll have a few minutes here after the Nets-Hornets game wraps up. Does that work okay for you, brother?
Yeah, let me I'm going to put that game on and cut off the ESPN feed for the moment and get that game rolling, so I'm right there with you on the Hornets and Nets.
Sounds good, brother. So are you not a Valanciunas fan, or do you just like the idea of Drummond fitting with that Grizzlies team?
I was just thinking of a team that had money, even though you have Valanciunas, I don't think you're ever like, that's the dominant center of our future. And he is serviceable, certainly, but it's really nothing personal. I just thought of a team that might have some money and willing to get a more established player to go along with their building core.
You know what? I think it's I wonder what they are thinking, because you definitely have Ja Morant there as your unquestioned starter at point guard. You have Jaren Jackson Jr. as your perceived starter at power forward. Some people kind of envisioned him as a little bit of an undersized center, but someone who could hold down the position there. I think we'll see Jaren Jackson fill out more. Maybe his position will be very akin to what Giannis's is as a power forward and then a sometimes center. But I can, if Jaren Jackson doesn't fill out a lot, then I still think that he has the perimeter skills, especially with his ability to shoot off the dribble, to someday just be your small forward in a super big lineup. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Especially with a guy like Brandon Clark there, who seems, unless Brandon Clark improves his perimeter skills, and then maybe you can play Brandon Clark at power forward, but you just have to find a way to get Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr. on the court together a lot more going forward. So essentially, you're looking around and you're saying, okay, this Grizzlies team needs a no doubt starting shooting guard for their future, maybe a no doubt starting small forward. And you already kind of pointed that out, being that they needed kind of a wing player to put in here. I just don't know exactly what I don't know, maybe you just shell out and you do get Brandon Ingram next season or make a trade. But I don't know that I would be focused too hard on spending big on a center.
What do you think the possibilities of, maybe we can talk about it a little bit more when the Pelicans start playing, but I guess we can at least tease it now. But something I'm going to want to know from you, maybe when the Pelicans and Bucks tip off, is the likelihood of Ingram re-signing with the Pelicans, given that they kind of have this already budding group of potential stars, but he's been the go-to guy this year.
Yeah, it's going. I think we're going to have to wait to.
Obviously, Drew Holiday is a different story, but of that group, I'm saying.
Well, I think we're still hoping to see Zion Williamson make his debut, get really good run with this team, and hopefully before the trade deadline this season, to see what they can be with all their guys healthy. Does Lonzo Ball fit? Do they want to keep JJ Redick, or is he somebody to trade? Is Drew Holiday the right guy here, or do you stick with Lonzo Ball and maybe move Drew Holiday? I think Lonzo Ball is more and more, to me, starting to look like a guy who he's not a traditional point guard. In fact, Lonzo Ball is a shooting guard who can push the pace in a great way. He can make those wonderful outlet passes, but you're not having him run a half court offense. He's not good enough shooter off the dribble, and he just doesn't. He's not the same kind of passer in the half court that he is in the open court. So,
is he like an amplified Evan Turner, or can he be better?
Oh no, I think he's way better than Evan Turner.
I mean, more than just a better version of Evan Turner. Sometimes I think, oh man, Lonzo's incredible, and sometimes I'm like, man, this guy, he disappears at times. He still looks like he's getting used to the NBA, but sometimes I'm like, he just gets it. And look at that pass, and sometimes his shot is on as goofy as it looks at times.
I think that if Lonzo needs a very specific role based on his inability to run an offense in the half court. But he's got enough size to be able to play defense, at least at shooting guard, and probably at small forward in a lot of situations too. So, and I've always thought of Lonzo as someone who at least has good defensive potential. He certainly racks up defensive statistics when he plays. I still have a lot of hope that Lonzo is a good basketball player, and belief that he is. I just don't think that he is, maybe he's the perfect guy for a positionless basketball team because he's got enough size to play defense. He can shoot the outside ball. He's not scared to do it, even if it is inconsistent. He's got the great ability to push the pace with his open floor passing and things like that. He's got athleticism. So if you've got other guys who can facilitate, he can work off the ball and maybe start, do some of those backdoor cuts that he was so successful with in college that led to him getting tons of dunks and having a lot of success shooting a high percentage on his 2-point shots in college. I just don't know if Lonzo's been used as well as he can be, to be completely honest. But in some respects, he's been limited by his injuries, and he's probably had, there's been a lot of changes in his career with LeBron getting added to the Lakers and
coaching changes,
yes,
and team changes, superstar changes. I feel you.
Yep. Getting treated like a trade commodity last year because everybody knew essentially what was eventually going to happen.
You know what? One of the bigger aspects that we have yet to mention of this have been, or at least his career so far up until going to New Orleans, How about his dad? I mean, what a nightmare that was for however long, even before he got drafted. I mean, seems like it went on forever. And now he's kind of quieted down and focused on the other kids, and we haven't really heard much this last year. But that can be considered an obstacle too, having to get past your loudmouth father.
Yeah, I think that's largely that's in the past, but it certainly was an issue, earlier in his career. I think, at least in some aspect. I don't think it's an issue now. So that is what it is.
Devontae Graham, 7 of 12 from beyond the arc, and God, what did he? I swear to God, he did about the same thing last night. He's got 40 points right now.
Oh yeah, Devontae Graham's been banging in tons of threes all season, so it's not even, it's like last night when we were looking at Damian Lillard's line after having looked at Davis Bertans and Duncan Robinson, and we're like, oh, and I guess Damian Lillard has 8 3-pointers as well. Like, it's just becoming, common in the NBA. But yeah, the Charlotte Hornets Brooklyn Nets game, 111-106 with 22 seconds left. Devontae Graham has 40 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 7 of 12 from 3-point land, 9 of 11 from the free throw line.
Unreal.
Good work from Devontae.
He was 6 of 11 last night. 6 of 11 last night, and then 7 of 12 tonight.
Not too shabby from the second-year guard.
Out of Kansas, 24 years old. Older than most second-year players, but man, shooting lights out.
Who was he playing behind at Kansas?
A few people, but no, I don't. That's tough to say. A few people, but no one over time, like every year. It felt like I guess I'm not sure.
No, it was recent. Who's recent Kansas point guards?
I couldn't tell you. That's why I'm that's why I'm trying to think. I'm like, there's nobody that I would say, oh, I remember this guy, or so that's why it's kind of weird.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, Devontae Graham had his last 4 games, 10 3-pointers, 6 3-pointers, 2, and then 6, and now tonight 7. So the 40 points is a career high for him. Wonderful job, Devontae Graham.
Awesome stuff, man. So far, I'd say him and Harden are the lines of the night.
Yep.
Still some games to go, though. And I think that we still have a couple games that haven't tipped yet.
Warriors. Yeah, yep. The 2 late games that we will get going. The next one getting going here soon: Oklahoma City versus Sacramento Kings, and then the late game of the night: New York at Golden State Warriors. But where are we at with the current games that they're running here?
Well, Charlotte's up by 3 with just a handful of seconds left to go. The Bucks recently tipped off. They're up 15-8 over the Pelicans. 18-8 now, it looks like. Sorry, I had a window malfunction.
No problem.
Jazz, 104-84 over the Timberwolves. They got 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Hawks and Bulls. Bulls up by 19, 106-87. The Hawks played last night. It's early in the fourth quarter, but probably running out of time and energy there. Grizzlies and Suns tied at 41, late second quarter, getting close to half. And as we said earlier, the Lakers got the win against the Magic. The Rockets beat the Cavs. The Pacers got the win over the Celtics, and a couple games still to tip off.
Yeah, from this Hawks game, we're seeing some erratic performances, or I guess varied performances from what we saw in the previous game. Last night, we watched DeAndre Hunter have a really good game, and then in this one, he's struggling with his shot. Just shooting 14% from the field so far with 3 points in 22 minutes. Hunter, after having a great game in last night's contest, 28 points. So that's what's going to happen with the rookies. They're going to be great one night and stumble the next, and that's why the great players are great. It's the consistency that they have. Rookie Cam Reddish from the Hawks, he's been very inconsistent this season, but it's to give him some credit. He's having a nice game here. Scored 14 points last night with 7 rebounds. And in this one, Cam Reddish has 12 points already in just 19 minutes off the bench. So nice to see him kind of finding a little bit of his way, his groove in the NBA.
When I did my little rundown there, I did forget to mention the Clippers beat the Raptors 112-92. Clips getting their 19th win coming in Toronto for Kawhi Leonard's ring night.
I don't think you listened to me. I totally covered the Clippers beating Toronto earlier, brother.
Oh, well, I
don't know how you can't keep 11 games straight in your head at once.
Yeah, exactly. It's not too much action whatsoever. So Charlotte's up 112-108, 14.4 to go in the game. A little bit more time than I led you to believe.
A handful of seconds, he said.
You know why? It's because it was like at commercial or something, and I couldn't find it on my window where we were at in the game. So my mistake. Sorry, people.
It's all right. We'll never forgive you. The Bulls and Hawks game is not interesting right now. 108-90 with 10.5 minutes left. And then the Jazz and Minnesota game with 10 minutes left as well. Not too interesting. 101-84. So we're really just kind of keeping an eye at this Milwaukee and Jazz game. Watching the Hornets steal one from Brooklyn here, most likely. And then peeking in on this Memphis and Phoenix game, which looks like it'll be kind of a fun one. 41-44 right now for the 41-45 with 2 minutes left in the second quarter. About to go to halftime there for that game, the Grizzlies versus the Suns.
So the Nets tonight are wearing their gray jerseys against the Hornets, who are wearing white. How do you feel about white versus gray? I'm not a big fan.
It doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it. But like one of our buddies is colorblind, so when we play NBA 2K, he's told me before, he's like, "Yo, we have to use certain jersey matchups, otherwise I'm screwed." So I wonder if it is difficult for some people to watch, and if that's the case, the NBA should definitely have somebody taking that into account in regards to their game presentation.
Color blindness is pretty common in males. You'd be surprised how many people suffer, or red blue color blindness, all sorts of stuff. You know what sucks though is when you play laser tag with someone who is colorblind and you get them on your team. Oh, it's a real pain in the neck.
Oh man, geez, yeah, that must be the worst.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I wish they would just not show up.
Well, this Brooklyn Nets court, the fact that it's a silver court or gray court, and then the Nets wear gray jerseys on it, it doesn't look as bad on the game cast that I'm watching right now, but like when they first put that court on 2K earlier this year, and then the first couple games that I was watching, it did look less. They might have changed the lighting in the arena.
It did look weird. It was kind of hard to watch at times, but tonight it actually seems less abrasive.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm not a big fan of gray versus white. And as a former referee, they always say that you want teams to have one-syllable names, and gray versus white is that, but that's a tough one.
Wait, right, why do you want it to be the color should be one-syllable names?
Yeah, so that's why if you hear it, you will never hear a team be purple or orange. They will be red or they will be blue. You will not hear silver, you will hear gray. You will not hear yellow.
Oh, you mean just in regards to the jargon that the refs use?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well.
Yep.
Okay. Well, whatever. I mean,
That's
that's an
inside
interesting
basketball
little,
right there.
yeah,
Yeah, that's an
interesting little
inside
nugget.
basketball. Yep. Not many people know that, but for
Wow.
whatever reason.
I'll just one ear out the other. Don't really care about having that one stored in the bank.
Uh, that's inside basketball right there, man. That's what you want. So okay, so do we want to take a quick break? We just finished off the Nets and the Hornets.
Yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in a few minutes, probably by somewhere between 5 and 10, I think. Or what do you? How many do you need, bro? What do we want to do?
Yeah, let's plan for no longer than 6 minutes.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right, sounds good. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back. I'm just gonna put up a little screen for the moment, but just a few minutes. We'll get back to the action. All sorts of good stuff going on in the NBA, and we want to be here with you. So we'll be right back.
Holla, holla.
What's up, Kyle? All
Welcome
right,
back.
so welcome back. You're watching Morning Hoops Basketball Podcast. I'm Anthony Denu. He is Kyle McKeown. You can find me on Twitter at Anthony Denu. He is at RotoKyleNBA. We are doing a little around the arc. We're watching all sorts of stuff that's going on in the NBA, League Pass. The game on ESPN right now is Pelicans at Bucks. I do like the Bucks. As you might expect, the Bucks are up big right now, but the Pelicans just went on a 6-0 run that led the Bucks to call a timeout. So, but things not really looking great early for the Pelicans. As let's see here, they're down 35-20. So it was 6-0 run.
I think the things of note from this game are the fact that Derek Favors is still out for the Pelicans. He's been back with the team now for this will be the second game, but he hasn't necessarily gotten back into game. He's just not ready to come back and play. He said he doesn't want to hurt the team. He doesn't want to try to come back and play when he's been essentially not doing anything basketball related for the last couple weeks as his mother passed away. He's been away from the team. They allowed him the time that he needed to grieve before returning. I think if Derek's not ready to play, that's cool. If he needs more time off, that's completely fine. You know, everybody
Absolutely.
can take as much time as they need.
Yes.
There is, I think, something to be said though, as far as hopefully it's good for him when he does return to help him maybe turn a page or to see, I don't know, when you have a huge personal thing happen, like someone you love pass away, it does make you look at your job and your responsibilities that aren't about other people and the ones you love. It does kind of make you turn down the dial on those things a little bit and be like, how important is this game I'm playing? So,
right.
But then again, it's those distractions that we have in life. It's the reason why we have entertainment that sometimes help us unplug from the more serious things. I don't know how to put it. It's probably a lot different for him because basketball, his job is Derek Favors' job, whereas it's our escape. You know, although a lot of players, it is their personal escape, and they don't maybe sometimes realize it until after they get done. So I think there's one narrative out there where I think that it could help Derek to get back on the court, to do something that he's very familiar with, that he can just go through the motions on almost and not have to think about those other things for a fraction of a second.
What a bummer. You know, you never wish this upon anybody. It sounds like it was unexpected around Thanksgiving, and that's just, you hate to hear stuff like that. So all the best to Derek Favors, and hopefully he can get back. Hopefully he feels comfortable enough to get back soon and whenever he's ready and whatever.
Yep, absolutely. Giannis was sitting out of this Bucks game with I believe they said it was a quad issue. Hopefully this is just a rest day and there's nothing actually wrong with Giannis.
And for the Bucks to not have Giannis, they're still a very good deep team and came out strong against the Pelicans. So when they went on that 6-0 run, Coach Bud was not happy and ran onto the court and called a timeout. But they're going to have to get it done without Giannis tonight. And if you're going to rest Giannis, this is probably a team that you would do it against. Not only are they not the most stacked of all rosters, but they've gone through plenty of injuries and other situations like we talked about with Derek Favors, and they're just not at full strength, and they weren't going to be necessarily a contender this year anyway.
You gotta feel, if you're looking at the ratings situation, you gotta feel a little bit bad for ESPN in this game. Not that you're ever really worried about ESPN, but just the fact that they were looking at this one on their schedule and saying, we got Zion going up against Giannis. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be tons of highlights coming from this game. Nope.
Nope. Instead, we got Ersan Ilyasova taking charges and scoop layups instead of dunks.
Well, and the other thing is, like, okay, you know what? I have a question. I know that in the current iteration of the NBA, they they have these deals, these media deals with these huge companies that allow those companies to broadcast their games. But why don't these broadcast companies have avenues for people to, like, is there another deal there between like the internet companies or the cable company? Like, I guess I just have a hard time understanding why they can't come up with a viable way to provide content to fans to generate the income that they want advertising wise, even if that means providing more games for free. Like why not just, instead of blacking out games for local fans, which turns away a fan base, why don't you essentially provide access to every local, like, if you have internet access and you can get to our streaming site, you can watch these games. Yes, you do have to watch through our advertising, which may mean like, a 2-minute or even a 5-minute ad to before you can start watching the game. Like, figure out some kind of thing, some kind of portal where you're creating an ability to reach the fan and not having all these borders between you and the fans. Like I have League Pass. I can watch tons of games. I have, I can go watch all the clips on YouTube. People can go watch all the clips on YouTube. So that's one avenue. But like, if you really want more fan engagement, I do feel like you need to increase access to the actual games. Whereas like there are significant hurdles to actually watching the games. Even it's more difficult to find, if in the past, maybe I'm just old now and I don't know how the internet works these days, but like in the past, it used to be really easy to find quote unquote illegal streams that on certain places on the internet where you could go watch any and every game you want. Now, if like, I don't know if they're cracking down on it more or if it's harder for people to provide those things than it used to be on the internet. But like, I do think it's harder to find good streams unless you're paying for it. And if you're going to restrict fans' accessibility to the games to their income stream, well, then you also have to, like, I don't know, man. Like, why not? You could have, like we talked about before on ideas about how to fix the ratings. Like, have people subscribe to the NBA.com stuff for like $10 a month instead of having a, several $100 league pass or an over exorbitant price per month that they have for some of their options too. Like, have a cheap option where you can get maybe just your local games or something like that.
Yeah, or there should be a la carte versions. There should be all sorts of things that just make it easier for the fans. Blackout should not be a thing. And there's other ways to make money. I would hate for them to, make everything accessible and easy and lower the price of League Pass. But I also don't want that to mean that a hot dog is going to go from $5.50 to $7.50. You know what I mean? It should be done. Create more jerseys and sell more jerseys and make those reasonably priced as well. I think there's other ways to get money than to have to compensate for this league pass.
Make a burner phones, like things where you can essentially you can buy games in packages, similar to how you buy ticket packages for going to the game, where you say, okay, I'm going to buy 10 games worth of the NBA, and you can get it for like $5 or something like that. So you're only looking at it, it's a smaller increment. It's something that someone who's maybe living paycheck to paycheck could come up with, or have different incentives where you're saying, like, if you buy this product from us, whether it's you probably can't do the shoes, but like jerseys, for instance, if you buy an expensive jersey from us, it comes with this many games that you can watch of the team. Silly, it's different things like that. But you have to have a way for easy. You have to have no barriers, or as few barriers as possible, to fans actually watching the games. And unfortunately, I think right now it's, most fans just consume highlights. They're not sitting down and spending 2 hours watching the game. They're just consuming highlights on Twitter. Well, if that's what the fans do, then how do you build further engagement with the fans in that regard, and how do you monetize that? I think it's just a different paradigm. And to be fair, some of the stuff that we talked about in our previous conversation, I'm sorry for talking so much on this.
You're good.
I have seen certain things on like YouTube of late, or this show that we're trying here. This was born, this idea to do an around the arc or a red zone type show where we're jumping from game to game, trying to focus on the ones that are close near the end of it to really give detailed coverage of those situations. Some of those ideas I am seeing other places now. Maybe it's just having those conversations has opened my eyes to some of the things that have been offered. But like on the Yahoo Sports app, they have a show called The Bounce that's got Gary Payton on it and other people, and they sit and they go through all the games on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from like there's like a several hour show that they do tracking and going around the games, kind of like Red Zone, which that's awesome that's available. But like, why isn't that something that I don't know? Does NBA TV do that? They don't have access to it. It should be something that's available on YouTube for free to watch. Like, there has to be access to this stuff on a larger format, and even like the TNT stuff that like all of these things need to be available for streaming on the internet. That's how people that's how people live their lives these days. It just has to be available that way.
I agree. It needs to be easier, and it's hopefully the ratings issue will be solved with something that is better for fans, more accessible, and then also works for the NBA in some regard as well. But I think they have to give in a little bit more here.
Yep. Do we have any questions or anything? Or
G Dozel, it says, but I understand that it's hard to get these streams.
What streams are you talking about, G Dozel?
I don't believe he's in the viewing.
Chat anymore.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Kind of got in and got out quick here. So
okay.
But maybe if he pops back in, we can revisit this.
Anything to check in on from the games that are still going?
Right now, Bucks, they're holding their lead 50-28, so they're up 22 about midway through the second quarter, and it's not really one guy that's dominating. It really is Giannis's supporting cast that is really banded together to keep this over the Pelicans. But I know it wasn't toughest of opponents to be playing in the first place, especially with all the issues the Pelicans have dealt with this year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I still look at this. I guess maybe I think very highly of Drew Holiday and JJ Redick. I feel like this Pelicans team should be better than what they've been, even though they have had injury issues. So yeah, the Elvin Gentry situation there is weird. I'm afraid that he's on the chopping block, but it might be a situation where they just say, you know what, we're just going to leave him in there this season, see where it goes. Maybe he can figure things out. If nothing else, hopefully they've got a company guy who they can go to later in the season and say, hey man, we're burning the rest of this one. So let's just get Jackson Hayes in there starting again. And, maybe get Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Frank Jackson a bunch more run. But this game's already going pear-shaped between the Bucks and the Pelicans. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a little bit deeper, the Pelicans go deeper into their bench. The other games, we saw the Charlotte Hornets pull out the win over the Brooklyn Nets, 113-108. Chicago Bulls ended up beating the Atlanta Hawks, 136-102. Trae Young struggled from the field, 4 of 14 for 15 points, but did put up 13 assists. So nice work there for Trae Young. Cam Reddish, as I was talking about earlier, he ended up finishing with 16 points, had another good game, second good one for him. Although his shot did fall off in the second half, just 4 of 11 is how he finished. Alex Len with 17 points off the bench. He's been playing really well in a limited bench role, but once John Collins returns from his suspension, I think we might see a lot of John Collins at center, and maybe Jabari Parker continues to start, or at least see plenty of minutes at power forward, even if it is coming off the bench. Zach LaVine, 7 of 7 from three-point land for 35 points in this win for the Bulls. Wendell Carter Jr., a double-double with 11 and 10 in his 23 minutes. I guess the Bulls just went deep into their bench, and I mean, I know it was kind of a blowout, but like, I'm surprised at how few minutes the Bulls starters played. I guess that's even a bigger game than expected for, hearing 35 points for Zach LaVine. You're like, yeah, he does that, but doing it in 25 minutes, that's pretty great.
Oh, that's incredible. I imagine the Hawks were just gassed. Overtime last night in Miami, and then playing again tonight. Just
Thaddeus Young, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. You heard that right. 33 minutes for Thaddeus Young. What a bizarre line. And either they played Markkanen at center, or we saw Thaddeus Young get some minutes at, I don't know what's going on here. I mean, Thaddeus Young, they were talking about potentially playing him at small forward some, so maybe that happened here too, but just a huge game from Thaddeus Young. How bizarre. This guy's been playing like 20 minutes a night, a lot of games, so it's just kind of crazy to see him jump up, especially in a blowout. Like, why would you give Thaddeus Young, of all players, more minutes in a blowout? Unless, he was just playing so well that they were riding him before the end of the game. But that's just, anyways, wish I would have been watching that one down the line. But again, it was kind of a trash show near the end.
Yeah, that's the case. I think that you just summed up the Bulls season right there.
Well, I mean, they won this game, so maybe we can be nice to them tonight,
I guess.
The Utah Jazz ended up winning 127-116 over the Timberwolves. The game stayed close enough for the Timberwolves to really give all their key guys big minutes. Karl-Anthony Towns, Wiggins, they were in the game right until the clock expired. 21 points, 11 rebounds from Karl-Anthony Towns, 3 assists, 1 steal, just 2 of 9 from three-point land and 6 of 15 from the field in his 36 minutes. Andrew Wiggins, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals in his 38 minutes, 3 of 8 from the field, 3 of 8 from three-point land, 11 of 23 from the field. 30 minutes for Robert Covington. He's been getting a little bit more run of late. That guy's minutes have kind of been jerked around this season, and it's been unclear whether it's due to some kind of lingering injury issue that the team is restricting Covington's play, or if Coach Saunders simply doesn't necessarily value Robert Covington the way a lot of other people do. But it is what it is.
I think he'll turn it around.
You mean, yeah? I mean, he's been fine for the most part. He just needs a more consistent role, or one. I guess I'm just surprised that like Towns, Wiggins, and then I would assume Covington would be playing exactly as many minutes as those guys. But maybe it's just an injury issue. Jeff Teague off the bench. We mentioned him playing really well, and he continued it the whole game. 32 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 6 of 6 from the line, 4 for 4 from three-point land, and 11 of 16 overall in 36 minutes off the bench for Jeff Teague. So heck of a line for JT. On the Jazz side of things, I was kind of leaving it there in case you wanted to say anything, but it didn't sound like you had any thoughts on that. On the T-Wolves? Nope.
What's
the Utah Jazz side of things? Donovan Mitchell finished with 30 points. Rudy Gobert finished with 20 points, 16 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Heck of a line from Rudy Gobert. I was listening to the Spanish broadcast the other night of the Jazz game, and they called him Gobert, and I loved it. It's the same guy that the Spanish broadcast that was available on League Pass is the same guy who does the Spanish broadcast versions for 2K. So it was like, I mean, we listened to the Spanish broadcast version for 2K, like essentially for the first maybe month and a half of the season. We'll listen to the route stuff, but then I get sick of Greg Anthony or whoever it is talking trash late in games. So then we put on the Spanish broadcast because I can't speak Spanish. Andre, my buddy, can, or our buddy can, and so can Mike. So it's but it's fun too because they say like Kawhi Leonard, his name is pronounced Kawhi Leonard, and it just makes it fun, to hear those different variations and stuff like that.
Yikes! I feel like a name's a name, and it should be pronounced as they prefer it. But
I don't know. I mean, I grew up with a last name where it was often mispronounced, so I just think it's funny when people mispronounce it now, or I am very understanding of it. I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like it looks like it's that. Huh?
What kind of variations have you gotten?
McKeown.
That's what I thought.
McKeown. McKeown.
McKeown. Yeah, that's the one I thought originally.
Yeah, but Anthony Denu, you've got to have, like,
sure.
I'm sure a lot of people just call you a-hole.
Only my mother. Thank you very much.
No way, man. Your mom is your biggest stan, brother.
I know, but she does call me a-hole sometimes.
Oh, well.
Because her name is Karen, so I call her K-Dog at times. So I'll say, "What's up, K-Dog?" And she'll say, "Nothing much, a-hole." That's true story.
Yep.
She called me dildo in public on numerous accounts when I was in middle school. That is also a true story.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm sure your mom is a fan of both that and you, so it makes sense that there's a correlation there.
You're an awful human being, Kyle.
Let's move on to something else, eh?
Yeah. G. Dill says Spanish broadcasts are great no matter how the names are pronounced. Love this work y'all are doing. Hey, we really appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
absolutely.
pal.
Thank you so much for the input. The feedback is always appreciated, and I actually am big on the Spanish broadcast as well, especially when it comes to 2K.
Oh, yeah, you're like bilingual as well, so yeah. So I'm sure that's a lot of fun for you.
I'm getting there. But,
well, you've lived in. Where did you live?
I did a study abroad in Costa Rica.
Okay.
So yes, I have done some Spanish schooling, and Costa Rica was such an amazing culture, amazing country, and I love still trying to follow along with things in Spanish at times.
Okay, so yeah, the people of Costa Rica speak en español.
That is correct. Very good.
Muy grande.
Yes. Never mind. I'm not gonna... We're giving our sixth grade Spanish lessons.
Muy bueno.
What game are you got on right now? I got the Bucks up by 22, now 24 with Middleton's post fadeaway, putting the Bucks up 63-39.
I got the Marquette special Grizzlies, Jay Crowder going up against the Phoenix Suns, 65-69, 5 minutes left in the third quarter. So that's what I'm watching here. We also have the Oklahoma City Thunder and Sacramento Kings playing. It's the end of the first quarter, 23-18. The Kings are up. Marvin Bagley making his heroic return, but he came off the bench here as the Kings kept Nemanja Bjelica, the pizza man, in the starting lineup at power forward. It sounds like they're just kind of easing Marvin Bagley back into things. Plus, the Kings are playing well enough of late, and with Bjelica getting that game winner in the last one, it probably felt like a faux pas to consider bringing him off the bench right away.
So under a minute to go, Bucks up 24, and once again, Giannis sitting out, but Pelicans kind of in a bad way right now and not having the best of seasons, even with all the hurdles that they've had to jump.
Yeah, the Pelicans decided to start Jahlil Okafor for another game here at center and bring in Jackson Hayes off the bench. I'm okay with that for matchup reasons against a guy like Drummond, as they did in the previous game. But against Brook Lopez isn't going to be down in the post much. Why not have Jackson Hayes out there on the perimeter? I think he's be better than having Jahlil Okafor out there. And then, I mean, realistically, you could, I don't know, man. Like, I guess I'd rather have Jackson Hayes and Kenrich Williams matching up against Brook Lopez and Ilyasova than having the plotting Jahlil Okafor out there. No thanks.
You're not going to get any argument from me. You know, Jackson Hayes is one of my rookies to watch this year, and he's just supreme athleticism. So Jackson Hayes, anytime you get to watch the Pelicans, he is one of the guys I got my eyes on.
He's got athleticism like pepperoni and sausage, green peppers, mushrooms, supreme athleticism.
That's right. I am so hungry right now. I can't even tell you.
I'm glad to provide the food imagery for you.
Yeah.
What are you going to eat when we get done covering the games here?
I don't know. I might do something stupid, but I really should just make whatever I have here.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved ordering food. It's kind of the most easy thing to do in the world is to just get on your phone and be like, bring me this amazing thing.
Oh my goodness. So how do you want the rest of the night to go here?
Well, I guess we said that if the New Orleans Pelicans and Milwaukee Bucks game kind of went pear-shaped, that we might just call it at halftime. And that kind of looks where things are going. So, to be honest, it would be nice to be able to do this show for 6 hours and to cover every single game all the way through to the end. But we are just two people who also have other responsibilities. So, I think we should probably pretty much call it good here and just thank everybody for tuning in and for checking it out. And let us know whether it's in the comments here on YouTube. Go on, follow us on Twitter, Anthony at Anthony Denu, myself, Kyle McKeown at RotoKyleNBA. Go comment on iTunes, on Stitcher, on any of the apps that you might listen to us on. And again, iTunes is kind of like that's the source for reaching a bigger audience in many ways. So if you have an iTunes account and you don't mind doing it at some point, jump in there, jump on your iTunes account, leave us a rating and review. And it would be a big boon to us to help kind of extend the broadcast or make the podcast bigger and better and look to maybe start making some money off of this so we can eventually just maybe do a Around the Arc show where we even have something crazy like access to highlights and all that jazz someday. I'm just dreaming big though on that regard.
That's right. That's the plan, man. Shoot for the stars, land on the moon. We appreciate all of you guys who interacted with us today on the show. That's one of the things that we want to be a mainstay. So we really thank you guys so much for being a part of the show, getting your comments into play here, and we get to talk about it and answer your fantasy questions. All that stuff is a lot of fun for us. So we hope you guys keep coming back. We do it 5 nights a week. So anytime, we'd love to have you guys.
Holla. We'll see you tomorrow.